Hello everyone, welcome to sunny Brighton and welcome to your cookery lesson live. We're going to be baking this lovely bread, which I made this yesterday. This is what you're going to be making, which looks a lot like cake, and it actually is moist and lovely, or almost like cake, except it's not sweet because it's bread. So it's a high protein, low carb bread, and the reason I'm going to show you that is because there's no flour, so it's completely gluten-free. High protein, and it's actually got some really good fats, quite high fats. So for those of you who are trying to maintain your blood sugar level, people who are trying to lose a bit of weight and not stuff themselves with a lot of the gluten bread, and that makes you feel really bloated and really lethargic and put on weight as well. With this kind of bread, you're going to eat 1 or 2 slices, and seriously, it's going to be enough for probably the whole day, because it's really filling. It's very rich and very filling because of the protein and the high fat that it's got. It's absolutely delicious with butter, with nut butters, with hummus, with soup, anything you'd have with normal bread. So just use it as you would normal bread. Just for those who don't know who I am, if you've just joined me, I'm Natalie Samsonetti. I'm the health and nutrition coach at Gut Loving Life, and I specialize in helping people regain their confidence, their lovely energetic bodies by starting through the gut. So we're going to be starting now, and the first thing, so I've sent you a list of ingredients already. You should have everything prepared. If you're watching and if you're making it yourself, just send some thumbs, press the button on the right, or say hi, say where you're watching from. It'll be really nice. Same if you're watching the replay, you can even share the video if you want to share it and show it to other people who might benefit from baking this. So let's first turn on the oven. So we're going to turn it on at gas mark 5, which is about 180 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to have to press it for a little while because it's not the best oven. It takes a while to be coaxed into action. Right, so this should be on. And then I'm going to show you the ingredients. So like I said, I've put all the ingredients on the Facebook page where this is showing. So it should be easy to get all the right proportions. So this is the base of your I was going to say cake, but of your bread. Okay, this is actually flax seeds. You can get them already ground, but I've ground normal fat flax seeds or linseeds. Linseeds and flax seeds are the same. These are super high in omega-3 fats, so really good for your skin, for your energy levels, great for your gut, really good for digestion. If you're a bit constipated as well, this is the bread to have. So this is going to be your base, and because it's a seed, the oil is going to make sure that you don't need the gluten, because it's going to get really quite gooey with the fluid, with the liquid we're going to add to it. So first of all, you're going to put your flax seeds in there, okay? So like I said, put either ground, definitely ground, but either from the shops, or you can grind them yourselves in a NutriBullet or that kind of blender. Next we're going to have, sorry, I'm just going to look for the exact proportions. I don't know it by heart. I should, because I make this all the time. So next you're going to have, sorry, again, just looking for, right. So I'm just going to go through the dry ingredients first, okay? Next we're going to put in a teaspoon of baking powder, so normal baking powder from any shop. Teaspoon of that in there. Then you're going to measure the ground almonds. So if you were organized, a bit more organized than I am, you'd already have weighed everything. So this is ground almonds, and you can get them again ready ground, or you can ground them yourself. So 25 grams. Almonds are great for the level of calcium that's in there, which is really good if you're dairy free, for example. Okay, so ground almonds are in. 2 teaspoons of sesame seeds, nice and easy. Sesame seeds, again, very high in calcium and magnesium. They're great for your bones. And we're gonna have a little bit of pumpkin seeds, which are right here. Pumpkin seeds, again, high in omega-3, so there's quite a bit of really good fats in there. If you've heard of the expression good fats, this is all good fats, okay? So don't hold back, but just follow the proportions on the recipe that's listed. So the seeds go in there. Caraway seeds, these are just for taste. They're slightly aniseedy, so if you don't like aniseed or that kind of taste, you don't want to put any of those. You can also put poppy seeds, you can put anything you want. You can even put some sun-dried tomatoes chopped into pieces. You can put some olives chopped into pieces to make it a little bit more interesting. There you go, caraway seeds, nice and simple. And then what I'm going to do is actually ignore the xanthan gum. Xanthan gum, some of you might be a little bit surprised at this ingredient. It's actually something to help bind all the ingredients together. So it's a gum that binds it, but some people with gut issues actually can't stand it, can't digest it. So I've made this one yesterday without it, and I'm gonna make it again without it because it actually works without it, because of all the flax seeds which bind with the fluids anyway. Okay, so if you're not familiar with xanthan gum and your gut isn't 100%, leave it. You don't really need it. So we've got the seeds, we've got all of that. We're gonna put a little bit of salt as well. I always use sea salt. So I always get asked, do you put sea salt or pink Himalayan salt? I prefer sea salt because it has a lot more iodine in it, which Himalayan pink salt doesn't have. Iodine, ladies, is really good for your hormones, okay? So if you've got imbalances in your hormones, have a little bit of sea salt throughout the day. It's actually very good for you, unless you've got too much high blood pressure, in which case you need to be a little bit careful. But wherever you use any salt, always use sea salt over any other. Okay, so we're gonna mix this nice and easy, and then we're gonna go to the eggs, right? So this is the part actually where you can be a little bit flexible. If you want your loaf to be the fluffiest loaf and really light and airy, you're gonna put more than 3 eggs, okay? But 3 eggs should be enough to make it nice and fluffy and moist. So we're gonna do it with 3 eggs today, okay? So all you need to do is separate the whites from the yolk, right? And we're gonna reserve the yolk for after, because it's definitely gonna go in there. So here's one. I hope you're watching and cooking at the same time. Is anyone on? Say hello if you are, if you're baking, or you probably can't because your hand's in egg at the moment, like I am. Right, so that's the second. Oh, I dropped it in there and fished it out. There you go, that happens. So these cookery lessons I actually do quite often on my group, my 8-week program, the Transform Gut program, which people join, and then we do cookery lessons like this for people who are not so familiar or confident in the kitchen. So we normally do these kind of cookery lessons or cookery sessions live on a different platform, but it's the same principle. So I'm gonna be a little bit noisy for a couple of minutes, just enough time to whip these ones into stiff whites. Yeah? Right. That's the maximum, so it's going to take a minute or so. Okay. Actually, while I do this, I'm going to put the coconut oil to melt, okay, first of all, because that takes a couple of minutes as well. So about 5 tablespoons. I'm not a scientific kind of cook, okay? I like recipes that you can just be a little bit approximate as well. So 2 tablespoons, just use a normal soup spoon. 3, you're going to put 5 in there, yeah? 4, It might sound like a lot of fat, but actually this is what's going to make it nice and moist. And remember, you're not going to eat that whole loaf in one sitting. You're probably going to share it, unless you don't want to, if you feel it's too nice for everybody else and you want to keep it all for yourself. So while this is melting, we're going to finish the egg white. Definitely going to take you a lot longer than this, and you might not get the same results. So I would always recommend to have an egg beater like that. Right. And never beat the eggs and then put in the fridge for later, because it's not going to work. Okay, it's not going to stay nice and stiff like it is now. Right. So we're going to put the oil, which has pretty much melted. We're going to mix that in the egg yolk, which is here. Right. Actually, I'm going to put the, just to push it in, I'm just going to put the honey, which is a teaspoon of honey in there as well. I've run out of teaspoons, so there you go. We can put it in there. It's not much of a muchness anyway. And we're going to put the oil in the egg and stir at the same time so it doesn't actually cook the egg. Yeah. And you really don't want to do any more than melting the oil. You don't want it to cook and to boil or anything like that. Okay. So we're going to mix the wet ingredients. So we've got cup measurers. We're going to do half a cup of water, which is 125 ml if you don't have a cup measurer. And that's my water fountain, my lovely water fountain. And you're going to add this to the egg and the oil and mix it around. I've put the honey in there, but you don't have to put it in there. You can put it directly anywhere in the dry ingredients, so anywhere you want. This just needs mixing a little bit. Yeah, it's not, you don't need to beat it or anything. So I'm just going to double check I've got all the ingredients in there. So we've got the eggs, the water, oil, baking powder, salt, honey, seeds, and the egg whites. Okay, so now we're going to mix, let's do it here. We're going to mix the egg mixture, the fluids in there with the dry ingredients. So all the liquids mixed with the dry ingredients, and it's going to become a little bit more liquid at this stage, a little bit softer. Okay, so if you add other ingredients like olives or sun-dried tomatoes, you could add them at this stage, but just make sure they're nice and chopped up, and no more than about 50 grams perhaps. Yeah, you don't want to put too much in there. Make sure you really scrape off the sides so there's nothing dried at the bottom or on the sides. Yeah, otherwise you're going to get a big souffle of seeds, and there's going to be all the seeds and everything at the bottom of your bread and nothing on the top, which is a nice result really. So you see, it's kind of a thicker dough. Has nothing to do with bread really. It doesn't really look like bread dough, but this is the consistency you're looking for. You can add more eggs, like I said, and it will make it a little bit more eggy taste-wise, but it's more protein as well. And as long as you don't eat it in one sitting, it's fine. So here's the egg whites. We're going to fold them in. So folding in means you're not sort of squashing them too hard in there, and you lightly fold them in. I'm not an expert cook or chef or anything. I just do my own little thing. Like I said, I'm not a scientific you know, cook. So just do it as it comes. But again, make sure you scrape off the sides and everything on the sides and the bottom and everywhere, so it's nice and mixed with the egg white. Okay, so the egg white is going to make it really fluffy and light, otherwise you get that dense gluten-free bread that you find in all the shops that's like a brick, yeah, and it doesn't really taste of much. Right, so we're still going to fold this in, and it's really going to lighten the batter or the dough. Okay, it's going to really makes it into like a cake batter, right? And don't hesitate to really mix it, absolutely fine, and make sure it goes everywhere so you don't get, you see how there's pouches or areas of unmixed batter? You don't want that. You want it to be completely mixed with the egg whites, but don't beat it as such, so you keep the fluffiness of the egg whites. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but if I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do this. My kids, when they were 10 years old, actually made one of these loaves themselves, which was really nice and very successful. So nice and easy. Again, you can add more eggs. So you would just separate the white from the yolk and add more of the whites like that, and it makes it even fluffier. Okay, so this is our batter. I'm just seeing a little bit more of the dried stuff at the bottom. So just making sure I've got everything in. Right, so if you add more eggs, you will get a slightly fluffier and lighter loaf, but this works as well, okay? Right, now I'm going to put it in. So before I put anything in, I always use greaseproof paper, which is also called parchment paper, at the bottom of the pan, which is this size, yeah. It's kind of a normal cake loaf. You can use the round ones as well, but not too big. The reason I put parchment paper is so that it's easy to come out. You know, you just pull it out of the mold. And I would never ever use you know, aluminum, because you don't want aluminum to touch your food. If you want aluminum at the bottom, you can put aluminum, and then this on top. You don't need it, as long as you've got a nice mold at the bottom, and it can be silicone molds as well, so any of those will work. So put your bread batter in there and scrape off all the sides. Right, and just like a cake, you just put everything in there and try and even it out so it looks like a normal bread or normal cake. There you go. Okay, and there you are. That is it. That's your bread ready to put in the oven, and you're going to cook this for 45 minutes on gas mark 4 or 180 degrees. So this is it. This is your bread, and this is what it's going to look like at the end. And it is, if you look, it is nice and soft and delicious. Yum. So enjoy it. Please leave some comments. Tell me how it was for you, how you made it. Send me some photos. Put comment in the comments. Add some photos. Show me your creations. It'll be really good to see what you've made. And tell me if you liked it, if your family liked it, or if you made some kind of alternative recipes. If you added things to it, let me know if it worked. Yeah, I'd love to have some comments. So I'm gonna go and finish chewing my bite of bread Meanwhile, enjoy it and have a great day if it's morning where you're watching from, and a great afternoon if you're in the UK. Bye bye. Thank you for watching. Bye.